It's time for Around the Gridiron with your co-hosts, Marissa Voss and Brock Aaker.
What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Around the Gridiron. I'm going to be your host again this week. Bop, bop, bop. I'm so excited for this. Let's go. But I am Marissa Voss, and I'm with the co-hostess with the mostest, Brock Aaker. How we doing?
I'm doing pretty good here. Already on week 5, football going fast as usual, and the stretch run here in October.
You know, we're already on week 5, and I'm surprised this hasn't happened sooner. I'm surprised we haven't run into more COVID, and we're just starting to run into it more. It's noticing week 4, and even now, a lot of games are going to get pushed back. A lot of this is happening, and a big one that I think is Bills and the Tennessee Titans. They're getting moved to Tuesday, and and then Chiefs Thursday night game gets moved to Sunday. Is that right? There's been so many that I've been hard to keep up with. Is that right?
Yeah, so it just came out in the last hour that the Titans against the Bills are going to move to Tuesday night. They're supposed to play Sunday, but the Chiefs and the Bills are supposed to play each other Thursday night. Obviously, they can't play 2 games in 3 days, so that's why next Thursday night's Bills and Chiefs got moved back to a Sunday. So there will not be Thursday night football on next week. Hopefully, the Titans and Bills can play Tuesday. Again, that's still not a guarantee. With 2 more Titans coming positive, that's up to about 24, so 24 players about the Titans are positive. They've been doing workouts outside of that they weren't supposed to do. So there's some talk that they might have to forfeit the game. However, now since they're going to move to Tuesday, it sounds like the NFL is still trying to give them every possibility to play that game without a forfeit.
Yeah, this is really, like I said, this is really hard because we've noticed the Tennessee Titans have the most positive test results in this league for a team. And I'm wondering what's happening different down in Tennessee that isn't happening, just in the Patriots. Like, the Patriots have not had any new test results. I'm just wondering what's going on with them. Why are they having so many negative tests? Is that just because people are just like, F it, we're not doing it anymore, I'm sick of it, it's not real? Because if so, I think this, don't hate me, guys, don't hate me, but I'm very, very scared that our season is going to get put to an end and altered. I am. I think that if we see more test results and we see more games getting pushed back and scrambling and trying to figure this out, and it's a fuck up and it's a mess, what's going to happen to this season? I think it might get put off. Joe Burrow tweeted, "I like playing football. Can you please wear your mask so we can keep playing football?" It's kind of that battle right now, or even anything in the world. But what are you thinking, Brock? Do you think if there is any more tests and games pushed back that the season's going to get done?
Yeah, I don't think the NFL has a clear plan for a week 18, like some people say. I think they're trying to get in all their games now, and they don't want to do that. And if the Titan situation happens to more teams, I think there might just not be a season anymore. As the interesting thing was the Bills and Titans, they wouldn't get paid. Even the Bills wouldn't have gotten paid if that game got forfeited. So right now the players are actually who gets hurt by the most if there isn't a season. So that's why the NFL is stressing to them, wear your mask. If you don't wear a mask, not only will you not get paid the rest of your game checks this year, but if there's no more football the rest of the year, that's going to affect the salary cap for years to come. And that's just going to obviously empty the banks of these NFL players. Obviously, they'll still make millions of dollars. But you got to think about the players that aren't Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes with those mega deals that are still trying to make a living with just the veteran minimum or the rookie minimum that will keep decreasing if we do not finish a season. And especially those players, you just think of some of the undrafted rookie players like a J.J. Robinson for the Patriots, like James Robinson for the Jaguars undrafted. He's not making much money. He's probably making a couple $100,000. It's still a decent amount of money, but for a guy that's just getting out of college, if they cancel the season, all of a sudden he's kind of SOL with money because he's not guaranteed anything. So it's really important for the players to wear a mask like Joe Burrow, because it's not really the NFL is going to take a hit, but it's mainly the players that are going to get the brunt of it.
And I think they're just I don't know if they don't understand. Obviously, I'm not a player. I don't know. but it's just seeming like, some of these people are sneaking out and doing things that they're not supposed to. And I'm hearing a lot of apologies from people and this and that and consequences. And I think now more than ever, people are like, once you do something, and especially on a high level where it is you are a music person, you are an athlete, you are a movie star. It doesn't matter if you are on that high level and you fuck up, like that's on you, right? Everyone, you have to come out and say, yep, I was partying people with COVID, or yep, I did something I wasn't supposed to. So I think now more than ever, it's being in the limelight is not good. And I'm very scared for the season. And the fact of the matter is I think everyone should be. But obviously here around the gridiron, we want you guys to wear your masks and be safe and do the right thing so we can keep having the things that we're having. But let's talk about, let's say this game does play and there's no more pushbacks and whatever. Bills, Tennessee Titans, who are you taking with this? Because Tennessee, yes, they have been hot, but also it's been in the middle. Like I don't know if I don't have full faith in them versus the Buffalo Bills right now are on absolute fire. They're doing so amazing. So for me, I think I'm going to take the Bills in this one. If it comes down to it, who do you got?
Well, yeah, you definitely have to go with the Bills because you got Jeffrey Simmons, even two of the other receivers, Adam Humphries and Corey Davis, that's on the COVID list that doesn't get to play, and they haven't practiced yet still. The earliest they can practice, I think, now is Saturday because you need 2 days of not being positive. So they might only have one practice day in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm definitely going to take the Bills in this matchup as Josh Allen looks apart as one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, there's no way you can't, especially putting that. I guess I really didn't think about that, Brock, that they're literally only getting like 1 or 2 practices in 2 weeks. How that is so hard. Why would you as a Tennessee Titans, that's so hard because you as a player want that game day check. But if you play like shit and you don't practice, like that's gonna show, So I feel like it's a big catch-22 going on at the Tennessee Titans, because they've got a lot of tests and they want to get their people to play, but yet they want the money, and there's just all these negative connotations that is going with it. So let's talk about another game that is being moved. Patriots being moved to Monday night. Obviously, we just said that Cam Newton and the Patriots do not have any new tests. So that's really good to hear about. How are you looking at this for your Patriots?
Yeah, that's another interesting thing. So they didn't have any tests this morning, which is good. They're going to be still all virtual Friday and Saturday, and just maybe have a walkthrough Sunday for the Monday night game if there's no more positives. Gilmore tested positive yesterday. That's why they are still yet to be practicing on the field. That's why they did push it back to Monday, but no one else has been positive, like you said. The last practice they had was Friday, right? Last week, Friday. And then Saturday, they were told Cam Newton had COVID. So they had to play Monday night with no practice with their new quarterback, Brian Hoyer, because obviously they already practiced that whole week. Now, if they play Monday like they supposed to, they're not practicing on Saturday. Sunday is just going to be a walkthrough. So this would be the second straight game the Patriots have where their starting quarterback, either if it's Stidham or Hoyer, has yet to even have a practice. So that's another disadvantage for the Patriots there. Again, you can only control what you control, and it sounds like, unlike the Titans that the NFL is looking through, that they think they didn't do proper protocol, everything for the Patriots, it sounds like they checked everything and it just happened. It wasn't anything that they can control. So that's a good sign for the Patriots. And that's why they're hoping that it is going to be only Gilmore and Newton, because the Patriots have done everything they could to not spread it. But yeah, again, the Patriots, luckily they play the Broncos and then they have a bye. So if they can just get through this without even a practice and still beat one of the worst teams in the league, the Broncos, that would be huge to go into their bye. So then they have even more time to get Gilmore healthy and Newton healthy, and then hopefully there's no more spread.
Yeah, this is a hard one. I understand completely. Obviously, like I said, on the Patriots side, there's been no positive tests. So a lot of people are asking, well, why did the game get moved? Why would this get moved? Da, da, da. Well, the Patriots are trying to be really cautious. Like, think about this. If the Patriots, they didn't have an outbreak, whatever, let's say they didn't have an outbreak, it would have been a closer game against the Chiefs, in my opinion, because obviously you have Cam Newton. Missing him and was a big hit for that team. So I don't blame them for being wanting to say, hey, we're just going to take it easy and do this. Because do you think that would have changed the outcome if Newton would have been a part of that game?
Yeah, I think they definitely would have had a great chance of winning that game, and probably would have. They turned the ball over 3 times, a pick 6. Brian Hoyer had another type of turnover at the end of the half where he didn't turn it over, but he got sacked and the timer ran out when he could have just thrown it away and we'd have had 3 points. I actually think, like, if you had to bring up the question, who's more important to your team, the reigning defensive player of the year, Stephon Gilmore or Cam Newton? I think it's easy that Cam Newton's more important to our team than actually Stephon Gilmore now, because we have depth at cornerback, not at quarterback though. We have Brianna Puri. She's a podcaster out in the Foxborough area where the New England Patriots play. She covers them. She'll be on the podcast actually next week, and I'll be interested to ask her about that question, who she thinks is more important and more Patriot stuff. That'll be next Monday. So we'll have her first guest. You can follow her on Twitter. She has like 16,000 followers, so she has a good following. So I'm excited for her to join us on Monday too.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. Another girl in the pod. So we're going to get 2 girls ganging up in the pod. I'm so excited for this. When Brock told me, I was like, wait, no way. Like, what? And it's not even like a guest that's whatever, prominent Mankato or, Sioux Falls. This is a big time thing to have her on. So listen in. You don't want to miss it. We're going to be sending some teasers out. It's going to be amazing. But I do want to hear all her input on that as well. Let's go back to Patriots talk a little bit. I mean, that's in the same sphere, but who do you have winning this game? Me personally, I'm obviously going to go with New England Patriots because I don't have much faith in the Denver Broncos, because what have the Denver Broncos done and who do they even really have? Tell me their weapons right now. When I think of teams, I look and I think of the teams overall and I'm like, okay, Buccaneers have Gronk, Tom Brady, Packers have obviously Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams. You think about those things, and when the Broncos get brought up, I don't initially hear some bells and whistles in my head like, oh, you got this and this. So and when I think of the New England Patriots, obviously I think of those. So even if they don't have those weapons, I still think the New England Patriots will win. So that's who I got.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to pick against the Patriots when they're playing the Broncos. Brent Rypien, their quarterback, not very good, obviously, or Drew Lock doesn't sound like he's going to play. So I think our defense, after shutting down Patrick Mahomes for most of the game last week, I think we could knock them down. I think it's going to be an ugly type game. It might be like a 16-6 game. I don't expect a lot of points, but I do think the Patriots will still find a way to win that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit it on the head. It's definitely going to be a close game and a low scoring game, and it's going to be one where they might have to crawl and get because they might be missing some players, but I still have the faith in them, and they're a pretty good team with the components that they have. Jumping on, then this one I'm excited for because I am another one like the Cowboys where I'm a little bit befuddled and I'm a little bit like, what the fuck? Dan Quinn coaching this week, kind of vying for his job versus the Panthers. The Falcons are a really interesting team to me because they get close. If you watched the Monday night game against the Packers, I was so pleasantly surprised. I don't know, Brock, if you were, but I was so pleasantly surprised because the Falcons defense stopped Aaron Rodgers and their offense loaded team on the 4th down, like inches away from the red zone and the end zone. I was blown away. I couldn't believe it. I was running and I was watching the game and I was like, wow, where is that going? Obviously their offense, they don't have enough components to go against the Packers, but I'm really impressed with them. I was impressed with that. I think that there needs to be a change within this Falcons team because I think they have a lot of good opponents. Obviously, Matt Ryan's not that bad in my eyes. Julio Jones, their defense looked really good. They've got all these components, but something needs to happen from within. And I think that that's kicking the can for Dan Quinn. The big question, Brock, I want to ask you is, do you keep Dan Quinn, say, 0-4, it is what it is, this season isn't going to be great, we'll stick with him, and then next year he's out, or just get rid of him right now and try to find someone?
Well, the Falcons have yet to play a divisional game with 7 teams making the playoffs. They're not technically out of the playoff scenario yet. However, I do think Dan Quinn is coaching for his job this week. If you lose this week, you're 0-5, you are out of it. And losing to the Panthers, who are not supposed to be that good this year, they'd be 3-2, and you'd expect the Saints and Buccaneers to be 3-2 by the end of the week as well, or better. I think he is going to get fired, and it's much easier to do so now because I think people are kind of hesitant to fire during the COVID era right now. But with the Texans firing Bill O'Brien, I think that makes it much easier for Arthur Blank to make the decision on his head coach and ultimately fire him if they do lose. They do have an easier stretch coming up. They get the Panthers and then at the Vikings, which could be interesting, two underachieving teams right now. And then they get the Lions, the Panthers, again, the Broncos. So if they can get by here these next couple weeks and maybe a couple wins, Dan Quinn could maybe save his job and put the Falcons back on the map. I'm not putting that much confidence in them right now, especially after the Panthers coming off 2 wins. They could win their third straight game, which is kind of crazy after the first couple weeks and what we kind of expected from the Panthers with a new coach, new quarterback in the COVID era. They're actually 500 right now.
So what I'm hearing from all of that is that you are taking the Carolina Panthers this week over the Atlanta Falcons.
Yes, I'll take the Carolina Panthers just this week, even without McCaffrey. I think, honestly, the McCaffrey injury could help the Panthers out a little bit. McCaffrey was their only offense this past the first 2 weeks and then all of last season. Now they're seeing what they got around on the offensive end. Ian Thomas is getting more involved. DJ Moore still hasn't been the star they're wanting him, but Curtis Samuel, they're finding different ways. Teddy Bridgewater has to do more. So when Christian McCaffrey does come back, maybe next week or the week after, I think that's just going to be much better for the Panthers because they know how to play without him, and now getting them back with some momentum, I think they could actually be a kind of a fun team to watch here down the stretch.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really close game, like really close, like 3 points of a game. And because the only reason I'm saying that is because the Falcons could get some 3 key defensive starters back with Neal, Allen, McKinley. You have to always look at that, and especially since, like I said, their defense is pretty good right now. So if they get those guys back, that's going to be huge. But Matt Ryan is struggling a little bit, but Matt Ryan is always who Matt Ryan has been. I don't think there's been much of a change with him. I'd have to agree with you on that one. I think I'm going to take Carolina Panthers edging the Atlanta Falcons. I'm even going to go something as close as 27-24, a field goal. But I think I'm putting them over just because you hit it on the head. Perfectly said, Brock. This team is trying to figure out what they have without Christian McCaffrey. It's like if Dalvin Cook when Dalvin Cook went down, or when Adam Thielen went down last year. The Vikings had to figure out who we were, and people had to step up, and it's actually going in their favor. And I'm liking what they're doing, and I love Teddy Bridgewater, and so I'm taking the Panthers for this.
And the Falcons defense isn't that great. They had that nice stop on that 4th and goal, but then they still gave up 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards to Aaron Rodgers. You saw them give up 38 points to the Seahawks. So yes, they're the Seahawks, but then 40 points to the Cowboys, and then 30 points to the Bears with Nick Foles. And I think that is actually the problem with Dan Quinn. He's a defensive guy, and they just haven't gotten it done. I think in divisional games, like you said, I think it is going to be close and a low scoring. As some division games, it's kind of, since each other, it's kind of difficult to score. But with Matt Rule being new, I think the Panthers, might benefit them that they have a little newness to their team. So they're a little unpredictable right now.
Yeah, so let's go into a team that is a little bit like the Falcons in a way that's trying to figure out what's going on and people don't know what's happening with them. The Las Vegas Raiders, they could lose 3 straight games as they go to Kansas City. Obviously, you've said it, I've said it. I predicted the upset, the Las Vegas Raiders beating the New Orleans Saints. But ever since that, this team hasn't looked that good. But I've said in the pod, I'm like, they have a hard record ahead of them. They've got a really hard record, and it was going to show how they're doing. And I think it's showing how they're doing. I think that them potentially going to lose 3 games in a row is going to show, okay, well, maybe this team wasn't as good as we thought. Maybe this team has a lot of things that they need to work with. And do you have a lot of faith in this Las Vegas Raiders team going to KC and playing the electric Chiefs with their weapons and Patrick Mahomes and everything. How do you think this game will play out, Brock?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to win big. I think Pat Mahomes, Clyde, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, they're all kind of a little pissed off how this Patriots kind of shut them down for a good most of the game. They ended up scoring 26 points, but you remember that pick six at the end that kind of raised their scoring a little bit. I think they're kind of pissed off and they're going to take it out on the Raiders. The Raiders offense, they get Henry Ruggs back this week. I think that's a big element they need, as you see how important Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs is that offense. Without Henry Ruggs, they didn't have a guy that could stretch the field. So the Patriots and the Bills last week flooded the running lanes for Jacobs and could double team Waller because they weren't afraid to single guard the receivers on the outside, Nelson Aguilar and Hunter Renfrow. But with Ruggs now back, you're going to have to put your corner obviously on him in a high safety to make sure that Ruggs doesn't burn him. So I think that's big for the Raiders, which is why they used that early first-round pick on Ruggs, and why I think the Raiders can put up some points on the Chiefs. I still think the Chiefs get it done, but this is a game I expect to be high scoring.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as much as I'm saying they're not a bad team, they just had a hard record. You go through any of that. Yeah, exactly. It's just they've had a hard schedule, and I mean, I couldn't even imagine us being Vikings taking, being a struggling team as we are, taking hit after hit after hit after hard game after hard game. It's hard on anyone, and especially when you're the Las Vegas Raiders right now, where you haven't been super concrete in the last couple of years. You've been there, but you haven't been there. So I think them going to Kansas City right now is going to be a testament, but I think also they're going to put up some points. They're not going to give up without a fight. They never do, but in the end, they do lose. Because how can you not lose against this KC team? It's absolutely, there's no way. So we're going to talk about someone I like and I liked in college. And I'm kind of excited about this news because I think that it is well deserved, even though their team isn't doing a lot of winning necessarily. So I'm talking about Justin Herbert named starter for the rest of the season. How are you feeling about that decision that this team has made? Do you like that, Brock? I like it.
Yes, I like that a lot. Justin Herbert almost beat the Chiefs in his first opening start. He looked good against the Buccaneers. Yes, he had a growing pain against the Panthers. They couldn't seem to get much going. However, they need especially with Austin Eckler going down to a hamstring, he should miss anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. They don't have that star power right now with Eckler out. With Tyrod Taylor, they're going to have to throw the football more. Tyrod Taylor is not going to get it done for you if you're going to have to be a pass-first team with him. So now since they're moving towards the pass-first team with Eckler out, Herbert is the guy. Anthony Lynn was the reason why they did draft him. He just didn't want to put him in the Wolves right away, and he wanted him to learn under Tyrod a little bit. But after how he looked against the Buccaneers, again, has been a great defense throughout the year. But Justin Herbert threw all over him last week. His defense just couldn't stop the Buccaneers, so they lost another close one. I think Herbert's going to be a good quarterback, and he's in a good situation with Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry. Hopefully the offensive line can keep them upright a little bit and see if Joshua Kelly and Justin Jackson can help them out with a little bit of a run game while Eckler's out.
So you talk about the run game. You talk about a little bit of Justin. Do you have a lot of faith in them edging out these Saints in this Monday night? I guess, is it Monday night game now? Is it going to be still
Monday night? Yep, that was the scheduled Monday night game. I know with all these COVID schedules just all whack now.
Like an actual thing where there's like a two games on Monday, and I'm kind of here for it. Like I kind of like it. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of nice, but also it's kind of weird because you have such an early game, and then it goes, and then you have such a late game. So it's like, okay, I have to stay up for these two. And for me, it's not a big deal because it's my day off, so I stay up as late as I want to. But that has been, I don't know, have you had it difficult where you're like, I want to stay up for this, but I need to go to bed? Like I got school tomorrow.
Well, I usually stay up for football. Most of the time, I stayed up for that Titans-Broncos game. The only time I turned the TV off was Sunday night when the Eagles got that pick six, that Singleton you talked about, when we're at 25-14. I'm like, all right, it's Sunday, let's get some good sleep. Otherwise, yeah, I stay up for every game. I think that it's nice. I wish they would still start that Monday night game at 7:15 instead of like 8 o'clock they did this past week. But it is what it is. It's what their ratings are. Going back to who I like in that game, I'm never going to pick against Drew Brees at home on Monday Night Football. There's simply no one better than Drew Brees at home on Monday Night Football. How many records he's broken at home. Even without Michael Thomas, I like the Saints. I like the Saints big, and I have Drew Brees as my 7th-ranked quarterback this week. So if you have him, I definitely put him in your starting lineup.
I think that is a solid pick, and I'm going to say pretty much the exact same thing. I just don't think this team is young. This Chargers team is young, and yes, Justin Herbert has been incredibly fun to watch, and he is having a hell of a rookie season. Cannot put them up against the Saints at home. Only a few have done it. My Minnesota Vikings did it. It's fine. I'm fine. Not a lot of people can go to the Dome, though. It's especially also if you don't have as many fans. I think that takes away from it, too. I think this is going to be within a touchdown or a touchdown and a field goal. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking that. I don't know. I have a good feeling about this game. I still think the New Orleans Saints are going to win, but I don't think the New Orleans Saints are going to rock them. Who knows, though? I mean, I could be completely wrong, but something deep down tells me that it's not going to happen just because, they still have Michael Thomas out. How long is he going to be out for? Is it like season ending?
No. He practiced limited last week. I think he practiced today limited as well. I don't know for sure he's going to play because they also have a bye next week, so I could see them holding him so that he has another week to recover.
Yeah.
But since they're at home against the Chargers, I think they should be able to win without him. I don't have him in my rankings. I don't expect him to play. But you never know. Still, I think the Saints are going to win big. We both got the Saints, just looks like just by a little bit of different margins.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go to another QB change right here. We've got Kyle Allen is named Redskins. Why do I keep doing that? Washington football team.
That's on me. I put that on the outline of the Red. I say Redskins all the time.
I do too. I was on TikTok and I was scrolling through, and some girl was doing girly girl stuff, and she's like, "Oh, I love the Redskins like cheerleading uniforms." I'm like, "It's actually the Washington football team," and she goes, "No, it's not." I was like, "Okay." But no, I call them the Redskins all the time. I think that's something that, and also, why would you name it Washington football team? That's like so unoriginal. I hate it.
Well, they're gonna switch it at some point, but Dan Snyder under a lot of heck, and because he's stupid, he doesn't treat women right. He doesn't have the right, so he just knew he had to switch it. He came up with something fast, and I think next year they'll have something different, obviously. But yeah, right now this year it's the Washington football team.
Let's get a shirt that says Washington football team and just with like a helmet. That's so I wouldn't, if I was a Washington fan, I'd probably just keep wearing Redskins. That's me though. Thank God I'm not. But going back to them, so they named Kyle Allen as the starting QB and Alex Smith as the backup, which I'm super excited about. Obviously, we all know Alex Smith had that debilitating injury, and now he's making his way, and he's getting a big comeback. It's so good. I've watched all the videos of him, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that he actually made that comeback, and he's getting back in the NFL, and he's the backup. How do you feel about that news? I feel super happy for him.
Yeah, I hope to see Alex Smith at some point again on the football field. He's going to have to wait and see with Kyle Allen. Dwayne Haskins, I don't know what's going to go on with the rest of his career. I think he was put in a very bad situation. I think he'll probably have a chance again somewhere else. Possibly he might have to back up, and whenever he gets his next opportunity, he's going to have to hit it right on the head right away because I don't think anyone else is going to be that patient with him anymore. But yeah, Alex Smith as a backup, that'll be interesting to see. Kyle Allen obviously knows Ron Rivera well as he started a couple games for the Panthers under Rivera before he got fired. I have them as actually coming up in one of my picks. We're going to be doing our lock and upset of the week instead of picking every game. The Redskins are going to be my surprise. I'll get to that a bit later, the reasoning behind that. But I think Kyle Allen is a step up from Dwayne Haskins. He's going to control the ball a little bit more. maybe get it to Terry McLaurin a little bit better and just bring some new energy to that Washington Redskins offense, which they needed after struggling ever since their win against the Eagles.
Yeah, I think it needed to happen. I think you can't keep putting faith into a quarterback or someone who is not delivering where they should or where they have. And I think Kyle Allen is a better fit for this team. And I'm actually really excited. I was a little bit surprised because always it's surprising, right? When you had, Mitch Trubisky benched and Nick Foles came in. It's just kind of shocking. You're like, wait a minute. It would be like if Kirk got benched and he kept doing bad, you're just like, okay, wow, mid-season, like, let's go, okay. But I think this is going to be really good for them. I don't think they have anything to lose. They're a team that has nothing to lose, everything to gain. You have to make these decisions if you're the Washington football team because what the fuck else are you going to do? You don't know if you're going to make the playoff. Might as well just switch shit up. It's kind of like the Falcons. Like, if they lose in the game, like,
and they're in the NFC East, so they can they're only a half game out of first. And if they're not seeing Haskins putting up and they think Allen gives them a better chance to win, they're still right into that division race. So they're not – you usually go with the younger quarterback once you're struggling. However, since they're struggling but still in the postseason race, if they think someone else gives them a better chance of winning, they're going to do that. Haskins might come back at the end of the year. When they're fully out of the playoff race, he might get one more look, but I wouldn't count on that.
Absolutely. So we're going to look at another Sunday game. This is going to be with the Bills and Titans being moved to Tuesday. The only two above 500 teams on Sunday is the Colts and the Browns, which is kind of funny because, oh my God, that's tragic. Like, if in my Minnesota Vikings obviously are part of that, we are not above 500. But who would ever thought about it? Like, think about that. If I told you, hey, because of COVID-19, and like first off in the past, I would have said because of COVID-19, the only above 500 teams on Sunday are Colts and Bears. Like, let that sit. I would have been
Colts and Browns playing each other, yeah. They're the only – everyone else, you're either 500 or worse going against obviously. There's the only game with two above 500 teams, is the Colts and Browns, 2 3-1 teams. That's going to be the late game at 3:25. I think Jonathan Taylor going against Kareem Hunt, two of the most run-heavy teams. Their defenses have been surprising. Myles Garrett in that Defensive Player of the Year race. The Colts, you got DeForest Buckner that's making a nice addition to that defense from that trade with the Niners. Darius Leonard, one of the better defensive players in the league. And then Xavier Rhodes balling out. So I think this game is going to be very interesting. It's going to be run heavy. I think this is one of the games where it's not going to take the full 3 hours, as I think they're just going to be running the football all day, and may not be a lot of points because these two defenses actually have been pretty decent this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always shocking when you hear, these two teams, because in the past, obviously, they haven't been that good. That me more than anything, everyone's been like, wait, you don't take Derrick Henry. I'm like, I live in the present. I live in the moment. Obviously, if you can't look at the past, whatever. So for me, it is shocking, but with the components that the Browns have, that makes sense to me. They're above 500, everything the Browns have. The Colts, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I just guess Phillip Rivers is doing really good there. Every time I think about it, I'm not a huge Colts fan, but I just think it's funny how they're actually doing good when I'm like, this is weird. But let's talk about who do you have out of these two teams advancing? Do you have Browns who are making the best run they've made arguably in the last 5 years, or do you have the Colts with Phillip Rivers?
I'm going to take the Colts. I like what you said, like the run. Both of these teams are 0-1. They lost their first game, but they're on 3-game winning streaks. So one team is going to lose that winning streak. The Colts are -1.5, even though on the road. I think they will win this game. I think Jonathan Taylor and their defense is just a little too much for a Baker and the Browns. So give me the Colts this week.
I'm going to go the exact opposite. I am going to go with the Browns this week. I love what they did against the Eagles. I thought that, yes, they did end up
against the Cowboys, you mean?
Yeah. God, I'm not on it today. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to work out, and then I had to work, and it was such a slow day. Do you ever get one of those days where you're just like, I'm moving at like turtle speed the entire day.
Yeah, I had a debt disappointment this morning. A lot of we're midterm week, so I had some assignments there. So I had to take like an hour nap here before this just to get some energy back. So I definitely feel you. We're getting into that time season change too. It's just you kind of get drenched in work and you just get tired.
It's brutal. I can't even do it. I took some pre-workout too, so I'm coming off that. I'll be better next week. Obviously, I have to because we had a great guest coming on. But no, I think I like what the Browns are doing, and I think they're gaining a lot of momentum, and I think they're starting to believe in themselves, and I think OBJ is starting to believe himself again. And I think once he does that, he's unstoppable. And I'm liking what they're doing. We're going to go, and since Brock's on his A game and I am not, I'm going to let him talk majority about the fantasy sleepers. And I love what you got for your QB, so take it away, Brock.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins. I'm sure you would like that with the Vikings. My sleeper last week was Ryan Fitzpatrick against the Seattle Seahawks, and he ended up going over 300 yards, a touchdown, a 2-point conversion. So he was very solid for a spot start. Again, I like these sleepers as being available in majority of the league, so they're all available in 60% or more of the leagues. Kirk Cousins is owned in 29%, so he should be available. If you're scared about Josh Allen and Tennessee not playing, you might have Rodgers or Stafford on a bye. You talk about Fitzpatrick going over 300 yards and a touchdown when his best receiver was 50% healthy Devontae Parker and Preston Williams. We just talked about in the last podcast about the skill positions around Kirk Cousins. He has two of the top two receivers in the league, according to Pro Football Focus. Russell Wilson's going to throw up some points, especially against that bad secondary of the Vikings. So the Vikings will be behind, and they're going to have to pass most of the game. So I love Kirk Cousins this week on Sunday Night Football. Running backs. Again, both of these are owned in 40% or less of the leagues. Malcolm Brown ended up being the main guy last week, overtaking Darrell Henderson Jr. again. Again, it's a tough situation, but since I'm just trying to help you guys, if you're in a tough situation, only available is waiver people on the waiver wire. You have to pick someone up to start someone. Maybe you have a Nick Chubb that was hurt. I like Malcolm Brown to be able to fill in this week against the Washington Redskins. They might have a good game script going on here, and he's going to get the goal line carries, so he has a good chance at getting in the end zone. And then I got my prototypical Carolina Panthers run defense. Who's the team going against the Panthers and pick that running back? Brian Hill's only owned in about 2% of leagues. He actually had a couple goal line carries, but he couldn't get in. Gurley finished it out for him. But usually in a positive game script like against the Bears, he gets 8 to 10 carries. So, again, you can have that Chase Edmonds situation where he could get that 8 carries and 50 yards and a touchdown, and voila, all of a sudden you at least get something out of your running back position since there's been so many injuries. So if you need to pick someone up, a deep sleeper is Brian Hill. Moving on to the receivers, I'm sticking with the Atlanta Falcons with Russell Gage. Julio Jones banged up. Don't know if he's going to play. If he doesn't play, again, you go in against the Panthers' soft pass defense as well. They don't have a great defense. They're trying to learn under Mike Rule, but they're still not there. Russell Gage can be a solid streamer this week. And then Hunter Renfrow, I talked about the Raiders. Going to be in a shootout. Usually Hunter Renfrow is one of the most targeted wide receivers for the Raiders. They might try to focus on Darren Waller, and if they have to put that safety over top on Ruggs, Renfrow could be open over the middle here, and they might be behind. So Hunter Renfrow is a good spot start this week against the Chiefs. And, of course, Michael Thomas doesn't play. Traquan Smith is still owned in only 30% of leagues. He caught that touchdown to give Breeze the most touchdowns passes in the league a couple years ago. And on Monday Night Football again at home, definitely start Traquan Smith, and Michael Thomas is not going to play. And then finally, tight end Ian Thomas. He scored his first touchdown this past week against the Arizona Cardinals. He goes against the Atlanta Falcons this week, who gave up 3 touchdowns to Robert Tonyan last Monday night. So Ian Thomas only owning about 9% of leagues. If you need a tight end this week, he could go off for you again this week and be solid for your tight end position.
We need some music in there, like in the background while Brock is talking about this, because he just goes off. That's what we got for you, Brock. I love that segment because you just you're so knowledgeable. I don't know, you're so good at just talking football. And it's
You're making
awesome.
me blush.
I am. Look at this. We're having a moment. This is called a moment. Perfect. So we're gonna go into one of the new things This is more you. So I'm going to let you explain it because I really don't even know what's going on. So Brock, you're going to explain a new segment that we got. All the segments that we do, guys, going to be in and out, but we're going to be switching it up and trying to give you a new format of how we do this podcast. So it's not just A, B, C, D, E, K, bye. So this is going to be a new segment here and there. Brock, what is this?
Yeah, so we're just going to do our lock and upset of the week. So we're going to pick who we're most confident in winning this week. And then an upset, obviously, is a team that's not favored, who we got this week, who we think has the best chance of defeating the odds. It's only 2 really games here. We went through some of the other games earlier with their storylines. I'll start us off with the lock. I've been talking about the Saints at home. They just don't lose on Monday Night Football. So I'm going to start with my lock of the week, the New Orleans Saints -7.5. I think they definitely get it done, and at least win by 1 point against the Chargers, but I think it's going to be much more, and they might dominate Monday night. So it's probably a good thing that the Broncos and Patriots are going to move to Monday night because the Saints game might be a blowout.
All right, so my lock is no surprise to any of you guys. I have the Buffalo Bills winning over the Tennessee Titans. Love what they've been doing. Love Josh Allen. Obviously, I love Stephon Diggs. These guys are doing so good, and they have a lot of confidence, and they're showing that. And right now, I think if there's a team that doesn't make the postseason or does really bad or loses in the first round, it's going to be the Tennessee Titans for me. I'm not a huge on them. Brock, let's talk about, because some people may think that's an upset and wrong. So let's talk about maybe another upset that you think is going to happen this week.
Yeah, I think the Panthers are the easy upset because the Falcons are favored by 2.5. But, I like to go big. So my big upset this week, the Washington Redskins with Kyle Allen at home against the Rams. I think the Rams are favored by like 7 points in this game. They did pretty decent against the Eagles going across the country. That's kind of weird that they played in Philly and then Buffalo, go back to LA, and then have to go all the way out east again in Washington. Maybe they're finally tired now of playing out east. But I think the defensive line for the Redskins can get to Jared Goff and not allow him to get to his weapons, Woods and Kupp. And I think Antonio Gibson, not a lot of people are talking about him. The rookie running back that's getting the most credit right now is James Robinson, which is fair. However, Antonio Gibson, again, over 100 yards of scrimmage this past week. He gets the Rams' run defense isn't the greatest. I like Antonio Gibson a lot this week. I like the Redskins to see what they got, Kyle Allen. And give me the Washington Redskins this week at home, upsetting the Los Angeles Rams. And maybe that will propel them into first place, depending on maybe what happens in your upset.
Literally. Oh, yeah. My upset. These two go hand in hand. Obviously, NFC East is absolutely garbage. But this is one I have that I think it's not too terribly surprising. But some people may be surprised. I'm going to take the Giants win over the Cowboys.
I would say that's surprising.
That is surprising. But every single fucking week, I think the Cowboys will pull it out of their ass. Every single fucking week. They don't. I've been very low on the Cowboys. And I just don't, even with having CeeDee Lamb and Ezekiel Elliott and Prescott and all of these components, they still cannot do anything. I think it's going to be a really close game, but I still think that the Giants are going to edge them out in the end to win this. That's what I got. Mic drop, walk out. So
yeah, that's bold. 8.5 points, the Cowboys. If that happens, Mike McCarthy in his first 5 games might be already fired as the Cowboys head coach.
Yeah, well, and I think I don't like what McCarthy is doing. I think when they fired obviously him from the Packers and then Nagy took over. Right? No.
Matt LaFleur.
Because Nagy is the Bears coach.
Yeah.
There we go. Still in the NFC North. But LaFleur took over, and I think that transformed that team to the next level. And I think the McCarthy did a good job, and they wanted maybe the Cowboys, obviously, because they made some changes.
He was hoping he could help out Jerry. That was the thing.
And I just don't have a lot of faith in Mike McCarthy, because I think that if you would have done, you should have done something more with the Packers. And I think that he did some good things, but he just didn't take that to the elite level, because that's not the kind of coach he is. Do you think that that's kind of true?
Yeah, but the offense for the Cowboys is good this year. Like Dak Prescott's going over 400 yards a game. You see CeeDee Lamb and Cooper still doing good. It's really the defense. So he might need to get in on the defensive meetings a little more, maybe fire the D coordinator, because they have been really awful this year. So Daniel Jones hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1. Usually in the QB era, you haven't seen a quarterback play 3 straight games without scoring a touchdown. But he's going against the worst defense in the NFL, so I think that's going to be an interesting matchup. So I am excited to watch that game as well on Sunday. Even though there's only one game with 2 above 500 teams, like we said, it still should be a competitive, fun week in the NFL, and hope for no more COVID positive tests and delays.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's all we've got for Around the Gridiron. Obviously, we have I'm going to have to learn how to say her name. Brianna, what is it?
Pire, I think.
Pire?
Brianna Pire.
Like Pierre, like
they'll clear that
Pire,
up for us.
like mulling shit or something, or cooking something, or
Have you seen My Cousin Vinny?
No.
Well, if
that
you
was a disappointment in his face. He's like, God damn it.
Well, if you like My Cousin's Vinny, you would like this podcast on Monday too. It should be fun. We'll talk a lot of Patriots with her, and then we'll get her unbiased opinion on some of the local teams like the Vikings and Packers, as she doesn't have a pony in that race. So it'll be fun to get her outside influence. And yeah, I'll be outnumbered. I'll be girl power on Tuesday morning show.
For misters. I'm so excited. I love when girls that talk sports and know sports are in this field do this and be like, hey, girl power, we're here. So it's going to be a really good episode. You guys tune in. I might even chug a Red Bull or something and get my mind straight and not be so foggy for the next episode. It's going to be me and my A game. But obviously for this episode, this is going to be out on all of our social media platforms. And then Anchor, the Huge, Spotify, ATG, Gridiron. And that is all from me. Brock, any last words before we kick the can? Shoot the shit?
Yeah, just comment on Facebook or Twitter. I did my fantasy football rankings. If you have any questions of that, I'm out there to help you. If not, thank you for listening to another edition of the Round the Gridiron. See you next week.
Peace.